Game on the line. Williams lofting one for a doozy. He caught
it! You're listening to the world's #1 football podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen, Matt Hartman, and Ryan Matthews.
Matt. It is hate week. There's a lot to get into. Well, we'll talk about all that, but pleasure seeing you here, brother. How we doing? How we feeling?
I am doing great. Yes, once again, rivalry week is here. I love it so much because there are so many teams that, listen, they're out of the playoffs. They're hanging on to their bowl eligibility hopes. Some are even out of bowl eligibility, of that opportunity. But this week, you can still get a leg up on the team across from you. In quotations, mostly, your major rival for most teams this weekend. Not all of them, but you get my point. It's a great. It's the great bring you all the way up of college football, and just slam the door on a great season. Only one Saturday left, so I mean, just cherish it. One weekend. I mean, there's tons of games on Friday, so yeah.
There's tons. There's a lot to get into, but again, this is the week. Like, regardless of how bad your season has gone, it does not matter if you can beat the team across from you, i.e. Michigan last year. But again, we'll get into all of that. We'll start off with kind of what used to be a news segment, but there's not a whole lot of news. It's more so kind of the coaching carousel of it all. First off, it's funny that we're going to lead off with this because it's a coach that is going absolutely nowhere and sticking within the same program. As of Sunday, Mike Norvell is officially coming back for the 2026 season for FSU, in a move that shocked no one when I say I hate this. This is awful. I was in the camp of he should be fired mid-season. And now we're going to bring him back for another season. I don't understand. Mike Norvell has consistently not been able to get anything done with this program and not win conference games. And FSU is this major brand, what could be a powerhouse, and they're sticking with a bum coach. I absolutely hate it, but your thoughts on it?
Yeah, not thrilled with it. Because I think the last 2 years have told us, with the way that Norvell constructs a roster, is he is very portal dominant. He's always been portal reliant, and the issue with portal reliancy is what you've seen the last few years, where you get the high. Well, not even last year. I mean, you just get the lows of last year, going 2-10, and obviously a regression to that mean is 6-6, right? We're 2-10. Just getting it back to a float, just getting our floor back would be 6-6. Yeah. They're 5-6 right now, and they're not favored against Florida. So again, the regression to the mean is all they really hit this season. Yes, they beat Alabama. Yes, they were a top 10 ranked team at one point. But Norvell is just it's a very uninspiring player in the sport to me, because you get this blessing of being able to coach in Florida, and not just Florida, a top 3 major program at Florida, and you just ignore high school recruiting. There is no I still believe high school recruiting gives a lot of major programs a good floor, and he just doesn't provide that. They are so portal reliant, and with, again, I mentioned it, you have an opportunity to tail off, because a lot of these guys in NIL, what they don't tell you is a lot of these contracts are negotiated to be front loaded. So again, it's, you could see a lot of guys kind of taper off. they hit on some guys like Deuce Robinson was a gem for them
Oh,
out of
yeah.
the portal, and it just like didn't matter. They bring in Malzahn to save the offense, and it did for again 1 week against Alabama because he
Yeah.
just beats Alabama. But overall, like it's very uninspiring. I don't know if you have any like major thoughts. I know. I know you're very anti-Norvell, but again,
Yeah.
like
That's a major thought. I'm just again anti-Norvell, as you said. Like at their peak, FSU has the chance to be one of the powerhouse teams in the entire country. And again, we're sticking with this lame duck head coach, and obviously not to the same extent because Franklin obviously had more of a pull in more winning within the program. But I'm wondering how much of everything that is happening with James Franklin is scaring teams off like FSU. Because again, they fired James Franklin and they wanted a guy like Kirk Signetti. They wanted a guy like Matt Rule. And these guys are signing contracts, and it has just gone so far south for a team like Penn State, not being able to get the coach that they wanted, and all of these recruits decommitting. And if I wonder if the Penn State saga of it all, again, to a different level of success than what Penn State Norvell has kind of scared FSU off a little bit from actually going through with the fire. But that's
I think as simple as this, why they didn't fire him midseason, why we had a conversation about this midseason.
Yeah.
I just don't think they have the money. I think it is frankly cheaper as a business to run it this way and not pay him $60 million to go away and instead reinvest that back into the program, find a GM, which again, what GM is taking a job that like basically you are drowning the minute you walk in the door. Like it's again like Norvell feels like eat the punches for 26 and we'll hit the ground running in 27 when there's less like because Florida, LSU, all hiring coaches. Ole Miss could theoretically be open. So many openings. I get why you're just like Norvell eat the punches for a year and like let's change it a little bit. But what GM is really taking this job with serious intent? But this could all be worth it when they go out into the portal and they bring in Mason Heigel. This could all be worth it. So I mean, we'll see. But
whoa, wait, hey, he's going to a different Power 5 program.
He's going somewhere, man.
He's going to we will carry on. Eric Morris, University of North Texas head coach, got hired to be Oak State's head coach now, or well, not officially. He'll officially sign the deal when the season is over because he's not fired, and North Texas is still within I'll say a puncher's chance is the play. They would need a lot of blocks to fall the right way, but in theory they could make
I don't
it
know.
as the group of 5 team.
I'll be on record and I'll say whoever wins the American's making it. I don't think JMU has a puncher's chance in this.
Yeah, but anyways, North Texas, they in theory, if things go the right way, they could have a chance to make the playoffs. And I'm just shocking that this news came out right now, heading into this week, heading into what it could possibly be a playoff run for North Texas, for Eric Morris to be like, yeah, I'm going to leave a group of 5, again, given it's a group of 5 team, but I'm going to be leaving my team that has a puncher's chance to make the playoffs for what is possibly the worst job on the market in terms of like Power 4 schools in Oak State. I mean, Stanford, you could argue, obviously, but I'm just more shocked about the news. I don't have quite like a fully formed opinion. I think Eric Morris is a fine coach. He was able to bring North Texas to relevancy and so on and so forth. I'm just more shocked about the timing of this move more than anything, especially on his part. But do you have any thoughts or opinions on this at all?
Yeah, young guy, 40 years old, turned 40 this year. He's been around the block. Obviously, I think there's a everybody knows about him for his quarterback development path. He was the head coach of Incarnate Word, and then followed Cam Ward to Washington State. He had a play in, obviously Chandler Morris was with North Texas last year. He is at Virginia right now, and Virginia is on the doorstep of an ACC championship game. And then obviously this year with Drew Mestemaker, there's one more I feel like I'm missing. Oh, Mateer. He was around
Yes.
with Mateer. And so obviously like youthful energy is what you're bringing into the program after Mike Gundy. And Oak State, man, like, again, if Texas Tech taught you anything, which you're not going to be able to spend like Texas Tech, I understand that. But
No.
if you reinvest back into these programs, talking the Big 12 and the ACC, the door is just wide open. It's if you get the coach right, if you get the funding right, you can make some noise in either of those, in any conference, frankly. I'll say that. So, like, again, we'll talk about IU, but it's like, obviously IU is just the pipe dream. But, like, they showed everybody it's possible. If you reinvest back into your program and you get the coach right, and he brings the right players with him, Mestemaker's coming with him. I'm going to say that confidently. Caleb Hawkins could come with him. They have some receivers who are pretty solid there. Obviously, they're, like, one of the better offenses in G5. They're 10-1 for a reason. So, again, like, I think this is a really good hire. I have no idea if it's going to work out, but we'll find out together, right? I like the youthful energy that they're bringing in after Gundy, and Oak State. I want to believe, I should say, that they're going to reinvest back into football more so than any other sport.
I would hope so. And moving on to probably what is the last coaching point in Matt? You can fill in the gaps
There's
after
one more,
this
yeah.
if I forgot something. But the Lane train, it's just the train that keeps on giving. It was on message boards, and you have to take all of that with a grain of salt. But people are reporting that like Lane's family bought a house in Baton Rouge, and like
So which
better
which message board is this? Is this the LSU one?
This is the LSU message board.
Okay, the LSU message board is the same message board that prior to the season said that Cade Klubnik had a car accident outside of Clemson's facility and broke his shoulder. So I'm just gonna take everything the LSU message board specifically says at a grain of salt.
Yeah, well, and it was like a friend of mine is a realtor who sold the house to the Kiffin family. So it's a lot of moving parts. Again, take everything with a grain of salt. But really the bigger piece of it, I think that was just fun speculation. But the bigger piece of it all is Lane came out saying, well, Lane and Ole Miss and everyone involved in that came out saying that he will speak to the media about his decision in terms of coaching on Saturday because they play on Friday. Egg Bowl, hopefully they win. We'll touch it later. Where it gets interesting is on one hand, I want to believe that like, oh, they're doing it on Saturday, which makes me think he's leaving. Because if he was going to stay, he would have just said, oh, I'm going to stay. But also, this is Lane Kiffin we're talking about. He really, really loves to drum up this drama, and he is in a very good position to make the playoffs. So I doubt that he would come out, right before the playoffs and say like, just kidding, guys, I'm leaving once the playoffs is done. So there's really two tales to the story here, but we will hopefully have more clarity on the situation next week. But your thoughts on Lane and him just being, again, the gift that keeps on giving.
Nobody loves the Lane Kiffin coverage more than Lane Kiffin. Man.
Lane Kiffin.
Obviously, it is what it is. I mean, we can't really change the way this has gone. I continue to think like the longer this drags out, it gives him more of an opportunity to take the other jobs. Obviously, there was like the Egg Bowl deadline rumor, and then it, like that shot down, and then they mentioned how they're gonna speak on it on Saturday after the Egg Bowl. So it's going to be a surrounding situation on Black Friday when they're playing against Mississippi State. We've just never seen this. We've never seen an active sitting playoff coach be able to leave for bigger job opportunities, and we'll find out together if he does. Like, I don't have a read on this. If you want me to just like sit here and make a prediction, I think he's going to Florida. That would be my, and I think LSU is all leverage in this situation, just because, you know, the nature of LSU and Lane Kiffin, I just don't think it's the right mix. And then like there was that rumor that LSU was preparing like a almost $100 million job offer to Lane, which again, I think that would drum up some business in the market of leverage.
Yeah.
But we'll find out together, right? He's quite the character. But last thing.
Oh, always has been. Yeah, last thing.
Last thing on Coach Carousel. Cal fired Justin Wilcox after his, I think, eighth or ninth season at Cal Berkeley. Obviously, the straw that breaks the camel's back is losing to Stanford. They started really well. I think they started like 6-2, and they've lost, or they started 5-2. They've lost 3 of their last 4. They're still bowl eligible. They still hit the win total. A lot of people were making comments about that, but this is the 8th year of this, and he hasn't. He's made back-to-back bowl games. They haven't won either. They're going to make a 3rd straight bowl, but just I think this is a program just looking for more, and they're kind of sitting in that mediocre tier. So, why continue to hang on to that? And maybe you can, like Eric Morris, make a youthful G5 hire and drum up some interest within the program. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Honestly, my main thought is again, I had missed this. Anything happened on Sunday, I had missed. Honestly, the thing that I'm interested the most is the fact that Ron Rivera is the GM for Cal. He was the one who like broke the news. Like,
yeah,
I
not
just
many
didn't know that.
GMs in this sport have like actual power, and it seems he does.
Yeah.
Like there was a discussion of like there was a discussion of like Jim Nagy's at OU. Like, could Jim Nagy theoretically fire Venables? I don't think he's got that power, right? Like it's rare to see it. Most GMs are kind of, handle the roster, get me the players, kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So, but that is the coaching carousel. As of this moment, we still have so many hires to get to. I mean, like there's just.
And again, there will absolutely be a cascading effect on all of this. I'm just really interested to see what it goes. And there's a even possible Washington coach that might take a lesser job to just get out of Washington. I don't know. Lord knows. But we will carry on to probably what the most of you guys are here for this, and then our weekly preview. Our rankings. Our rankings dropped. Not any movement within the top 4. Shocker. Is there really much that sticks out to you in terms of any of the rankings? I think.
All right, let me get mad as a Texas fan. Let me get mad.
I was gonna say the big thing for me is Texas Michigan being ranked in front of Texas, and I saw a lot of Texas fans being like, well, only if there was a common opponent for us to judge them. Well, guess what? Guess what? 2 losses is better than 3 losses.
That's the difference. That's the only difference.
It's a big difference.
The only difference is that seemingly, and why I am upset is because this past week. Okay, let's do this past week. Texas beat a non-bowl eligible Arkansas team by 15 points at home. They scored 50 points against the worst SEC defense in the conference. I'm not going to argue that. They are power rated on FPI at 36th. Michigan beat Maryland on the road, a non-bowl eligible Maryland team, by 25. They're power rated 70th. So, again, like, if you are going based on what this past week did, because Texas was ranked higher than Michigan, a week ago.
Which is funny. Yeah.
If you were going based on that, then Michigan did not do enough to leapfrog Texas. That is my argument. And you get into the resumes of it all. Like, Texas obviously has the better wins. They don't have the loss. Like, Michigan's losses are better than Texas's losses, and they have fewer of them. Not arguing that. Texas has many better wins, including the common opponent you mentioned. This, to me, is the committee saying, there ain't no chance in hell we're putting a three-loss team in. That is what I think the committee is saying here. And obviously, if Michigan already leapfrogged them, if Michigan beats the common opponent Ohio State and Texas lost, well, there you go. There's your kicker. Texas needed a parlay-like kind of scenario anyway, going into the Arkansas game. Since the Georgia loss, I have not been sitting on my horse saying, like, they're definitely going to make it. I still think they have a chance, but there was no, like, well, if they just win out and they get, like, a Utah loss, no, like, I just don't think so. Because you think about last year, like, if BYU is 11-1, they face UCF this week, and we'll talk about it. If they beat UCF and lose in the Big 12 title game, they're 11-2. Say Texas beats A&M, they're 9-3. That's the exact scenario SMU and Bama was last year. So, like, a lot of people are doing the brand that, they're just going to put in the brand. They're just going to put in Texas. They didn't last year. Like, why do you think they're just the committee cares the most about how few losses do you have? And that's what upsets me, is because and you think about there are two glaring results. Ohio State beating Texas by a single score and it not working in Texas's favor. Yes, it makes them the highest 3-loss team, but outside of that, it eliminates them from the playoff. The other one is Miami beat Notre Dame, and everybody's kind of just like scratched that from their record. I saw someone, and again, it's NBC and it's Notre Dame Network, but I saw on NBC one of their halftime shows, it's like, I would still rank Notre Dame higher than Miami, and I wouldn't sweat about it. I think they're better now. We shouldn't look at these games in a vacuum in week 1. Then don't play the damn games. All right? Then take away the week 1 results. If your argument is, well, it's so far away. It's week 1. Who cares? Then why ever play these games anymore? If Texas misses out, I still stand by this. If Texas misses out because they're 9-3, I'm going long. Because they scheduled Ohio State instead of UCF at home, that's going to tick me off. That's going to make me upset, because that takes away, that sets the precedent. Just chase as few losses as you can get. Don't give a damn about how many top 10 wins do we have, how many this, that. How good does our resume look? Just make sure you don't lose as many games as somebody else. And that's kind of my whole overarching opinion on this point.
Well, that's to my point, and it's something that we had talked a lot about in terms of like the comments that Curt Cignetti had even made about like, oh, well, we're just doing an SEC scheduling. I am very, very worried about the implications that a scenario in which Texas beats Texas A&M and still is out will have on the sport. Because if Texas, I don't want to say pull off the impossible, but if Texas can upset Texas A&M and win that game and still miss it, I think we will see a crazy shift in terms of the entire landscape of college football, of everyone just trying to do their best Indiana impression in terms of scheduling. Like, we are just going to schedule a whole bunch of nobodies, and we are only going to play the people within our conference, and we will only play tough games if we have to. And other than that, we are going to play Kansas State. We're going to play Indiana State. We're going to play FIU. And I'm worried that we will see a drastic shift in the landscape of college football if Texas wins this game and still misses the playoffs. And it will make me absolutely sick. And I'm interested into seeing the impact that it might have. But again, who knows? I'm not that I'm wishing this for you, Matt, but this conversation might be mute if Texas. I mean, Texas has to finish this job.
Yes, thank you. Because like, just win the game. Just win the game. Texas has an opportunity to take a very disappointing season in which they were ranked the number 1 team in the country in the preseason. Whether that's justified or not, they were.
Yeah.
They have an opportunity to still compete for a double-digit win season with Sark in this midst of chaos. This is Arch Manning the greatest bust in college football history? That was a real topic. And they have an opportunity to beat the A&M Aggies and beat the OU Sooners in the same season and finish with 10 wins and finish as a top 15 team in the country with momentum of coming back. Because your 2 best players are coming back next year in the quarterback, Arch Manning, and Colin Simmons, the edge rusher. So, like, again, you can hit the ground running, buy me an offensive line in the offseason. Could this be this, could this, as easily as I say, like, they could still be 10-3, as easily, like, they could lose by, 2 touchdowns against A&M and just not show up for, a bowl game that, doesn't matter. And it's like an 8-5, barely ranked top 25 football team. And I wouldn't, argue that. Like, that's still plausible with the way the season has gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we go back to the question that I think I had asked you on the very first episode that the college rankings came out. What is the number in terms of the rankings that we're looking at you think the cutoff is for teams that can still feasibly make the playoffs? Is it the gap between 16 and 17? Because that's kind of where my eye is. Like, anyone past Texas, so USC and beyond. So USC, Virginia, Tennessee, ASU, SMU. So on
Virginia
and so
can
forth,
still make
obviously.
it winning the ACC. So
okay,
so the
outside
way,
of Virginia,
yeah. So the way to look at this is the ACC champ will get an automatic bye. They do not have a top 10 team, and Miami theoretically cannot make the title game. By the way, so they're at 12. They really can't make the title game for the auto bye. And then the G5 will obviously get a spot. So you need to be an at-large team. You need to get into the top 10. So
yes,
look at the top 10. Again, like it's Alabama's at Auburn, Notre Dame, Stanford, OU is LSU, I think. Like it's kind of an uphill battle for any of those teams to lose. But for me, Utah at 13 continues to baffle me. But they've had some monster results, I guess. They haven't had the wins, but they've had monster results. I guess I'll throw in Texas just to do the bit. I don't think Texas or Michigan have a chance, and maybe Michigan does because they have an opportunity to win against the number 1 team. But again, that's a lot of leapfrog. And even if they're 10-2 with even if they win and everybody in that top 10 wins. Alabama just beats Auburn, and OU beats LSU, and Ole Miss wins the Egg Bowl. Do you think Michigan theoretically could leapfrog into that with their resume? Because then it becomes a resume debate. I don't think so. So
no,
I'll say as far as if everybody wins, I think Miami is the deepest cutoff.
Okay, so. Flip side to that.
If chaos happens, obviously, yes. There is a chance. I don't want that to just be glossed over.
Yes. Flip side to that. What do you think at this point in the season, regardless of the outcome this weekend, who are the teams at this point in the season do you think are locks? For me, I think it is 1 through 5. Again, there would have to be a lot to swing, I guess, the wrong way in terms of this conversation for 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. But who do you think on the flip side of that is a lock shoe-in? It does not matter what happens at all this weekend. They're making the playoffs.
I'll do the top 4, Texas Tech is the 99.999%, because if if they do lose to West Virginia, like there is a chance they're not in. They're not in the top 10, right? Just because of how far they dropped. Talking about the committee, dropped Alabama after losing to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is a very it's the 8th overall team, so obviously there is that respect for that team, where West Virginia is fighting for their lives, and it isn't a good Big 12 team. Like if Texas Tech were to lose, I think you. So I'll say that, but even Georgia at 10-1, if they lose to Georgia Tech, they're still in. That's still a pretty easy loss to I guess, even though Georgia Tech sucks. I'm just gonna say they suck. I think Georgia's still in, but I think the top 4.
Okay. Yeah, I can I follow everything you're saying outside of the Haynes King disrespect there, but I digress.
It's not even him, it's their defense. Their defense just cannot stop anybody, and you're in the ACC, dude.
Yes. Oh yeah. Is there anything else before I let you kind of take over the show here and preview the matchups?
Shout out Arizona. Arizona and Arizona State's going to be a top 25 matchup this year. After the disaster, Jedd Fisch left Arizona very late in the process a year ago. To go to Washington after DeBoer takes Alabama. So they have to hire Brent Brennan from the G5, who's been around the block, but at San Jose State, and they had a pretty disastrous season. Even though they had a top 10 pick on their football team, they kind of run it back. They make some adjustments, and they're 8-3, and they're in the college football rankings. Going into rivalry week against Arizona State, a team they lost 45-0 last year. It wasn't even close. So this game to mean something now, 2 top 25 opponents, I think is awesome. They've had a great season. Narduzzi wasn't lying when he talked about how the Notre Dame game doesn't mean a damn because it ain't ACC, and they beat Georgia Tech to leapfrog into 22. SMU is finally ranked. That's been a long time coming. USC didn't drop too far, but again, they dropped out of the playoff race, but I'm kind of buying what Lincoln's selling me at USC, especially this year. They're going to bring in a good 26 recruiting class. So again, if you can get some of that stuff right, you could have that happen. And then outside of that,
Mayaba's basically coming back at this point too. Nothing is a guarantee, but at this point you can. Mayaba in Lane or
the only way he wouldn't come back is if they want to start Husson Longstreet, who they flipped from A&M a year ago, and they've kind of mixed him in. He's a 4 or 5-star. So again, if they want to move on, make the pushing out of Will Howard to upgrade Avery Johnson kind of vibe, that Kansas State did, you could see that to turn to the better recruit. But if you want Mayava, I think he's going to be around. And then lastly, I mentioned it, the G5. I think the team that wins the American is going to get that spot. I just think they have consistently ranked the American. Memphis has been at this spot. Tulane has been at this spot multiple times. A few weeks ago, we thought North Texas would be at the spot. I just don't think that. Sorry, JMU. You guys are going to have a great 11-1 season, but the one major opponent you had was Louisville. And Louisville continues to tumble. They're 7-4 now, and that was your main loss. And they lost by 14. They lost on a Thursday night early in the season, and the Sun Belt is just not power rated high. It just isn't. They don't have a lot of wins outside of the conference that mean anything. Is what I'll say. Where the American. Tulane beat Northwestern. Tulane beat Duke. Memphis beat Arkansas. USF beat Florida. So
Florida.
Again, are those teams good? I don't know, but they have a lot more sustaining power in those conferences and for those resumes than anybody the Sun Belt beat. The Sun Belt is kind of just one of those punching bags like the MAC. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. If you want to carry us on over to some crazy football that we will see this weekend.
So, do we want to kick off into the games, or do you want me to do the conference title scenarios?
I feel like we
up?
should probably start with the games, and then I think
All right.
that would lead more smoothly into the conference titles.
All right, let's talk about the games, or the game. Ohio State travels to Michigan. I think this is the premier game. Big Noon is going to be there. Game day is actually going there. I was surprised by that. This is again, monumental game. And I don't have. Did you watch much of Saturday? Like, were you watching a lot of Fox on Saturday, like the games? Because I know BYU had a game. They have a promo going on for this game where it's Colin Cowherd in the background because he's affiliated with Fox, and he made like a comment, and the way they like pan the nice music, and it's like Ohio State beats everybody except for Michigan. And so I was, again, like, I laugh and chuckle at that. So I did some digging. Ohio State, since the COVID year, 2020, they are 65-9, including bowl results in this 11-0 2025 season. They have beaten 13 top 10 ranked teams in that span, including 4 en route to the first 12-team college football playoff national championship a year ago. They have gone into the game 11-0 or 10-1 every year this decade. Let's talk about some of those losses, right? 2020, they lost in the national championship against Alabama. Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, all those guys. Like, it was probably the best team of this decade. Week 2, 2021 against Oregon, which I believe was C.J. Stroud's like second start, first Power 5 start at that time. Oregon goes into the shoe and beats them. The next one is the Peach Bowl 2022. You know, when the clock strikes midnight, Noah Ruggles misses the kick against Georgia. Georgia blasts TCU in the national championship, and that's how close Ohio State was. The Cotton Bowl in 2023 against Mizzou. Do you remember that game, Ben? They started Devin Brown, the backup at Cal Berkeley right now. So again, do I hold that one? Not really. And then week 7 of last year, against Oregon. They lost by 1. Will Howard slides at the buzzer, and they don't get a kickoff. And then there's 4 losses that we have to talk about. Michigan, 4 times in a row. And you think about how monumental some of these matchups are. All 4 times it took them out of the Big Ten title game. Ohio State has not competed for the Big Ten title in 5 years. That's just crazy to think about from my youth growing up. 3 of them put Michigan into said title game, including, what was it? The one where Haskins runs for like 5 touchdowns. The one where Donovan Edwards has 2 80-yard touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone. And then obviously the one where Kyle McCord throws the interception to end the game. And then 2 of them were 11-0 versus 11-0 top 3 matchups. They have lost all 4 of them to an 0-4 record. And then obviously none of them felt more catastrophic than last year, because you have that senior class have to leave Columbus without a Michigan win. You have this rivalry, like just this banner over your head. Like, no matter what you accomplish, Ohio State, the team up north gets to laugh at you and say, you know, print those T-shirts, print the 2025 national championship T-shirts, because in reality, all it's doing is more Michigan merchandise, because they're the real national championships is what they get to claim. And so just the narrative around this game, I think, dominates the headlines. Talking about the football, there hasn't been a team and a quarterback for Ohio State I've been more confident in than what they've produced this season. So, again, like, I think that we still have no really status on the receivers. They're still like up in the air. Will they, won't they? Obviously, college football, you get to kind of hold those out. But Ohio State, in any metric you look at, is top 5 in both offense and defense. They have a Heisman caliber quarterback, receiver, and they have the best defense in the country. So obviously all signs are pointing to they will beat Michigan. And then it's just like, then there's like the reality of like they have the best freshman in the country. I mean, he hasn't performed like it, but again, like you bring him on for this game, you bring him on
Yes.
to be able to be dynamic in this game, where you weren't dynamic last year and you won the game. So I'm really interested to see the run scheme that Michigan pulls out, because obviously we know all about the whoever leads the rushing battle wins the game, and Ryan Day last year tried to prove a point last year, running up the middle with Henderson and Judkins at 2 defensive tackles who are going to be drafted in the top 20 over and over and over. And I think it was also because Will Howard might have had a pseudo concussion, but that's just me. That's just a theory. He took a hit in that game that, like, he did kind of got bonked a little bit, but not that kind of bonked, but just overall, I think that if there was ever a year, Ohio State's going to do it this year. I said that last year. So again,
isn't that that's what I'm saying? Isn't that not exactly what we had said last year? And yes, we'll get into it. There'll be another spot in this episode where I'll do this again. I try my best to be unbiased in terms of the way that I talk football, unless I am speaking about this game. Because at a certain point, the fan has to come out. And again, everyone wants to say if it was going to be any year, it would be this year. Is that not exactly what every single person and their mother said last year? All right. Michigan won that game last year. And you consider they had Carnell Tate last year. They had Jeremiah Smith last year. They had that senior class last year. And yet Michigan still won, despite their quarterback passing for 62 yards and an interception. Our leading wide receiver was a guy I had never heard before with 1 catch for 16 yards, right? And we still won. And now you consider what Michigan has brought into this program since last year with, again, this big 5-star true shocker. I'm at a loss for words, guys. I am so pumped. I am sorry. But this big named 5-star quarterback into this program, again, we can discuss at a later time at the end of the season. Did he or did he not live up to the hype? Again, that's a conversation for another day. Andrew Marsh is leading the Big Ten since October in every major receiving category. You have Jordan Marshall. His status is still up in the air. Who knows? But if Michigan was able to do it last year, why would they not be able to do it this year when they're playing at home? I am so pumped. Let's go, Michigan. I'm going to pick Michigan to win this game. How could I not? But in actuality, let's get down to talking football. I think you had touched on the main point. Last year, Ryan Day went into this game trying to prove a point, saying, we are going to win this on the ground, despite the fact that their defense is tailor-made to shut down the run. He said, we're going to win this game on the ground. And the only success they had all game was at the end of that second quarter going into half when they threw the football to Jeremiah Smith. And you're like, wow, this is going to be that change of pace. They're going to come out. It was the first time
they were in desperation. Like, we got to throw the ball downfield.
Exactly. If OSU wins this game, which they probably should and which they probably will, let's be honest, they need to do it because they're throwing the football. Screw everything out the window. At the end of the day, what matters most is, did you win the game? And the route for OSU to win the game this year is to throw the football. Again, we will see if Carnell Tate plays. We'll see if Jeremiah Smith plays. There's a lot in the air. We will not know until like an hour before kickoff at this point. But if they want to win the game, Ryan Day needs to get out of his own head and do what has gotten him to this point. Do what has gotten this team to be the number one and what is the most dominant team in the country. Throw the gosh darn football to Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith and let them just win their one-on-one matchups. And if you do that, I think OSU has a very good chance of like blowing Michigan out of the water, if I'm being quite frank, because their defense is that good, despite them losing the seniors that they had, because Arvell Reese And Caleb Downs has been able to really, Sonny Styles has been able to stabilize this defense despite everything that they lost. And again, you have all the star power on offense. OSU, if they can stick to what has gotten them to this point, they should just murder Michigan. They really, really should. Let's just see if Ryan Day can get out of his own head and step away and do exactly what had gotten him here.
Yeah, I think this comes down to the chaos factor of football games that we can't predict. Wink Martindale is the defensive coordinator for Michigan. They are just naturally going to be attacking, and if you are on the Michigan side, it is easy to make the argument Sayan has never played in a game like this. Sayan has never played in an environment like this. Sayan has never had the pressure of this bearing down on him. We look at some advanced statistics. Michigan is 84th in dropback success rate on defense this year in the country. They're 14th in EPA. So they create turnovers. They force big play. They force those havoc plays, those splash plays, sacks, turnovers. That's the thing is Sayan combined in interceptions and sacks has 10 this year. 4 interceptions, 6 sacks. So that's won a game. He just avoids havoc plays in a way that the others didn't. Will Howard was a chaos engine at times because he was, with him running the football. McCord, absolutely. We all knew McCord was not good going into that game, and he proved us right. And so it's just, I think there's just things that you could not quantify in a stat book is how Michigan needs to win this game. And I think Bryce Underwood's got to be the better quarterback. And maybe not even he needs to play within a margin of Sayan that is just palatable. I just don't lose the football game, kid. I think you need to create some of those explosives. Obviously, just be an engine be a chaos engine. I'll say that. Be something that is different than what Ohio State has seen this year. Being a 5-star athlete, the number 1 athlete, and maybe you can get some of those, maybe you win the turnover margin 3-0. Crazy things like that. Crazy things happen in this game. Obviously, nothing is off the table after last year. One of the most crazy results. It was one of those games, I have no investment in either team. I could not look away. I could not flip to another game. I watched the commercials for this game last year. I couldn't flip to another thing because I didn't want to miss any moment of this game last year. And, and obviously we got to wrap this all with a bow. If Ohio State wins, they're gonna storm midfield and try and plant the flag, right?
They have to. I'd be shocked if they didn't. I'm
gonna lay the points with Ohio State and then just feel bad about it in the second quarter when it's 10-10 and there's just no. But,
I think the smart move is OSU laying the points. And again, I think it's easy to look on the injury side of everything that is happening with OSU with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, but you'd be remiss to not also talk about Michigan's injuries, right? They're one of the better safeties in all of the country, a huge cog in Michigan's defense, and Rod Moore is out. He will not be playing. Probably the best fullback in the entire country, and Max Bredesen broke something. We don't know what he broke, but he broke something. He will not play. There's some speculation that he might. I mean, the coaches were like, well, he's the toughest guy, and if anyone could do it, it'd be him. Justice Haynes obviously hasn't played football in weeks now at this point.
He's out. He got surgery. Yeah. He's done.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Jordan Marshall,
that's
we'll
the big
see
one.
If he's a full go. He got snaps in small quantity last week. Not that it mattered because it was Maryland. So again, it's easy to focus on all of the big name injuries on the OSU side of the football, but Michigan has a lot of their own, as you would expect this late into the college football season. But again, this is going to be such a fun game. I can't wait for it. It always lives up to the hype. There's never a year where this game is
especially
boring.
The last 4 years.
Especially the last 4. And then you go back to JT Barrett. He was short. I don't care what anyone says. I digress. I'm just happy that I'm going to be up there for Thanksgiving. I'm going to be watching the game with Ryan and hopefully Matt. So, but we'll see.
Last thing on this game. I'm so
Yeah.
happy Andrew Marsh is a player. Because that was one of those like moments that I had. Because it was like Wisconsin. It was like a nothing burger
Yes.
game, and I had Wisconsin team total under, so I was watching the game for betting. And I'm like, this number 4 moves different. Like, throw him the ball more. Like, as like a joke in the chat, and then like he got like a 20-yard explosive like a few plays later. I'm like, yeah, there you go. Like that's the guy. Let's stop doing this Samaj Morgan stuff. Like, there's your gadget downfield explosive guy, and you said it, like, he's been awesome since that Wisconsin game. I didn't realize he's been like that good. Like, I knew he was
Yeah.
awesome in the Northwestern game, but just the overall volume statistic, I didn't realize that they had leaned on him that much, which is pretty cool to see. But
Yes,
we move
been
on.
fantastic.
Where do you want to travel next?
Buddy, I got to gush about my team. I know we spoke about Texas and Texas A&M already, but I think that would be the perfect place to go.
All right, number 3, Texas A&M travels to number 16, Texas. Obviously, I've made note of the Texas season and that they're not going to make the playoffs, and they're not even going to derail A&M season. Like, A&M still has a pretty good shot at making the college football playoff. This takes them out of the running for the SEC title game if they were to lose, pretty much. But I don't care about any of that. I just care about beating A&M once again for the second year in a row since this rivalry has been renewed. This is just such a big game in the state of Texas, and for A&M, for the tides to have turned this season. A&M being the 11-0 juggernaut that they have, beating all the 7 lowest ranked SEC teams, the juggernaut that they are, scheduling nobody in non-conference outside of Notre Dame, and winning like skin of their teeth, getting the 2-point conversion and the muffed kick. I'll never forget that. The Notre Dame kicker, or the muffed the hold or something on the extra point, and so that's how A&M won last season. But for A&M to be the 11-0 team going into this game, and Texas is staring at the jokingly 8-4, like that is karma for this season. But in the end, you can still make light of this season. You can still make light of all of what has happened this season on the offensive end specifically. The defense has still been great. They just gave up 500 yards to Arkansas, I know. Anthony Hill is questionable. Is there a chance he plays? Yes. I lean on the side of probably not, having a broken hand. We'll see. And then Ty Anthony Smith obviously got a targeting call in the Arkansas game in the second half, so he's going to miss a half of this game. So linebacker gets thin for Texas. Everywhere else, they're pretty healthy. And then for A&M's side of things, like, I've said this probably every time I mention them, is like, has there been a better portal investment than the 2 players of Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion? I really don't think so. Just changing the identity of just a position group. Of a position group, changing the identity of this offense and making them so effing explosive that they are able to be down 4 touchdowns at home to South Carolina, and I was still sitting there like, they're gonna win this. I still believe in this offense to figure it out. The only thing holding them back was Marcel Reed making throws or not making throws, and that's what this game comes down to. Which quarterback is on and which one is off. Like, Arch has been really good in the last, month and a half of the season since, the Mississippi State fourth quarter. He's been great. He was even good in the Georgia game. Like, the stats don't say it and the scoreboard doesn't say it. He was great in that game. And so I'm just interested to see which quarterback kind of rises to the moment. Obviously, Marcel Reed is still hinging on whatever Heisman hopes he still has. I think he still has some odds up there. Even if I don't believe he has a chance at it, there's still odds to have that happen. But this is just an awesome game, awesome rivalry, under the lights, standalone game. Wait, no, it's not. Indiana Purdue is going on, but still, you get what I'm saying.
It basically is a standalone game.
This is what everybody is looking forward to on Black Friday. It would have been cooler if Texas was 9-2, obviously still competing for the playoff, but they're not, and still have an opportunity to again beat A&M and OU in the same season, which is pretty cool.
Yes, that'd be awesome. And again, I mean, I think you're right. I think it comes back to which quarterback is more on point. And the best way to get a quarterback off point is by putting pressure on him. And just as we talked about the two quarterbacks and there being two great quarterbacks on either side of the football, there are two very, very good edge rushers on either side of the football, and Cassius Howell and Colin Simmons. And I think that plays, again, kind of the opposite factor in terms of the quarterback. Which one of these guys can take over the game? I continue to talk about it pretty much every game with Texas in terms of Colin Simmons. But can he game wreck? And can Cassius Howell game wreck? And I think he absolutely has the opportunity to. I think as the season has gone on, Texas has been able to stabilize, I think is the word I'll use, stabilize the offensive line a little bit more. And still not like the fantastic and not quite up to the Texas offensive line that we have come accustomed to, but stabilize. But I think Cassius Howell has a very, very good chance to just be able to pin his ears back and kind of just take over this game going up against mostly unexperienced young offensive linemen. And again, I'm just really interested to see how both teams combat either edge rusher in this game. That being said, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm taking Texas A&M to, cover the spread here just because of the wide receiving talent that they have in Craver and KCC.
Valid. It's valid. But it sucks to see you on the wrong side of history. I think Texas wins this one by more than a touchdown. I'll say it. I think they get after Marcel Reed. They make his life hell. They run the ball for a few explosives. I know that's just something they haven't done all year. But I think everything clicks. Everything in the universe clicks in this game alone, just as it did last year. The only points scored were not offensive for A&M last year. It was a pick six in the red zone by Quinn Ewers. Obviously, the teams are different. But the vibes of each team are not different. They're still A&M. They're still the little brother. And Texas is going to kind of humble them, I think, and kick them out of the SEC title game. And they're still going to point and laugh and say, ha, we're 11-1 and we made the title game. That's what happens when you get to face Mizzou with Matt Zollers and LSU with, on a dying Brian Kelly tenure. But I digress. We move on. Staying within the conference. What? Yeah. I was just
gonna say. I mean, we saw Quinn Ewers through a pick six last year. Michael Taft take one back to the house this year for Texas. We'll see.
He got an interception in this game last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying taking one back to that.
He's gonna
house.
take it all the way back.
Oh.
I like it. I'd be on board.
Love that guy. Yes.
This is final game at DKR, but we stay inside the conference. Alabama travels to Auburn. It's already been confirmed, I believe, that Auburn is going to start Ashton Daniels and not Deuce Knight. There was a hope from me that Deuce Knight became a main character in the college football playoff race by playing in this game, but he's going to get run. He provides something much different than Daniels in the run game. So I think they're going to run some double quarterback stuff. But for Alabama, ironically, this is the game DeBoer just doesn't win. You think back to last year against Vanderbilt. You think back to the you think back to the Florida State game this season. Like these leaning into the rush offenses, like this fun rushing, unique offenses have just given them fits the last 2 years, obviously, and then just the unranked vibe of it all. Arnold at Oklahoma last year, that was how they won the game last year. So you just think about how you win this game for Auburn. I think it's as simple as can be. Like, you make this a rock fight, and you just play great defense, and you just keep this thing close at the end. You're able to run the ball, be able to ball control. Like, you're gonna be in it at the end. Bama doesn't really pull away from anybody this season. You think back to the South Carolina game. So, like, this is a perfect storm for the Auburn Tigers. And oh, by the way, I've looked at the schedule. It's pretty much standalone Saturday night under the lights in Jordan-Hare. Weird things happen in Jordan-Hare Stadium, folks, especially in this game. And so I'm really eager for what this game is to entail.
Yeah, the most heartbreaking thing for me is the fact that it's not Deuce Knight. Yes, it was Mercer. I understand. But he looked good. He looked good for, again, it's easy to disclaim that it was Mercer.
He looked like a better athlete than those guys.
Exactly. He looked good. I would have really, really hoped for to see him get like significant run. Again, I think you're correct. He will absolutely get mixed in. I'd be shocked if he doesn't take close to like 10-inch snaps in this game. Again, we will see. But again, the interesting storyline that's going to follow this game is like Alabama has to win this game to make the playoffs. If Alabama loses this game, they are gone. They are out of here, which again opens up the door for other teams like Vandy, who we'll talk about in a minute, Texas, who we'll talk about, or who we just finished talking about here. And I'm just really interested in the DeBoer factor of it all. As you had said, he doesn't win these games, and it's weird to say, but whenever he's put in like these high leverage situations, like even going back to Washington, he has not been able to win these games. So I'm just interested to see if he can kind of shake that narrative that has been following him or not. Again, this is an Auburn team. They absolutely should win this game. We will see, though.
I'm looking at it here. Road.
Also, I can't wait for Cam Coleman to be a Michigan Wolverine next year. Just saying.
Okay, buddy. I'm looking at it here in 2024. Road SEC opponents, road non-ranked SEC opponents. He had 2 games last year. Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. We talked about those. He lost them. This year, he's had 1. And it was the survival of South Carolina. So, and then obviously, like, if I want to mix it in out of conference, they were 1-1 with beating Wisconsin last year, losing Florida State this year. So obviously, like, it's just, this is the recipe for Auburn to get them because they don't have the number next to their name. It just seems to not go DeBoer's way. And you mentioned it, like, it's the last time we saw this team against a team with a pulse was the Oklahoma game, in which they dominated that football game, but they just lose the turnover margin. They throw a pick 6, and somehow, some way, lose by 2 points. And I'm interested to see Ty Simpson in a spot like this, because again, you could argue, has he been in a spot like this? Just this rivalry, never played in it. I'm eager to find out. Where do we go next? We got 3 more here. We'll stay with the ranked on ranked. Vandy versus Tennessee. Vandy obviously still fighting for those playoff odds. Just in the grand scheme of things, I think this is Vanderbilt fighting to say, like, we aren't Vanderbilt anymore. Like, this is a spot where they can hang in a game on the road against Tennessee, who's a top 20 team in the country somehow. I don't think they have a single. I heard the stat. They don't have a single Power 4 victory against a team with a winning record, like a 500 or better record. So think about Tennessee in the landscape of this season. But Vanderbilt obviously has, the rushing ability, and I just want to leave with one stat. Their rush EPA this season is 12th, and the Tennessee rushing success rate this year is 121st. I think this is a recipe for points, folks. I think Vandy could really score. I think these are two bad defenses against two high-powered offenses in the way each defense does not want to, like, Vandy's pass defense bad against Tennessee's pass offense. Tennessee's rush defense bad against Vandy's rush offense. So I think this one has a recipe for points. Obviously, Vandy's still competing for the playoff. Maybe not. But just in the grand scheme of rivalry, they could be 10-2, man. Like that, and that's a pretty historic accomplishment. After recruiting news, they flipped a 5-star from Georgia. Like, obviously in the NIL era, it's easier because you just pay them more money, but that's real deal. Like, Vandy is in the we're not going back, folks, and beating Tennessee in Knoxville, in Neyland, is just another add to the fire.
No, absolutely. Again, in the grand scheme of just college rivalries, it is so great to have something of this caliber be back, because for so long, for like the last 20 years, it has just been a rivalry dominated by Tennessee that has just been put on the back burner because Tennessee's good, Vandy's bad. There's no need to watch this. But again, finally, over the last 2 years, we're like, okay, there's some gumption to this. This is actually one of the rivalries that we now have to talk about. And again, I am really interested to see specifically what Diego Pavia's rushing line is for this game. Because, again, you touched on exactly what I would have. If Vandy's success and path to victory in this game would be to just absolutely ball control the game and just run, and run some more. But again, Tennessee has the ability to score at any moment right now with that that wide receiver that we saw do some already pretty gnarly stuff against a ranked SEC opponent earlier in the year. Again, it'll be an interesting game, but you had touched on the one big point that I wanted to. So,
Yep. I again, this is just a send off, possibly. I mean, he'll play in the bowl game, but like a send off for Pavia. I think he's been, even if like the story around him has been kind of like a lot, with Manziel and his mom and Theo Vaughn. Pavia as a college football player, I'm gonna remember, because like if Vandy continues to trend in this direction, he is just a JUCO player from New Mexico State a few years ago that kind of transformed a program, and that's just pretty crazy to think about in 2025. And then we move on to another ranked matchup, Georgia against Georgia Tech. Georgia just seems to be peaking at the right time, and Georgia Tech seems to be flustering at the right time. Georgia has not lost a game since their loss to Alabama in September. Georgia Tech is 1-2 in their last 3 games. You get into some defensive, again, or Georgia's offense versus Georgia Tech defense statistic. Georgia's 11th in EPA per rush this season. Georgia Tech is 84th in the country in defense. They're 10th in dropback EPA, and Georgia Tech's defense is 81st. I think Georgia could kill them. I think Georgia could legitimately not be stopped. Just the way they've played in some high leverage games against good defenses. All right, let's put them in a neutral site, which they're going to have more fans at Mercedes-Benz. They are going, it is where the SEC title game is represented. They are going to have more fans. I don't think it's going to be split 50-50. I lean there's going to be more red in the dogs just because of what Georgia Tech did last week specifically. I think that kind of killed some momentum for their program. But this is a game that I think Georgia could kill them. And they're supposed to last year, and Haynes King has the gutsy performance that he did last year, and they go to 8 overtimes. But I think this is a recipe of Georgia's offense peaking at the right time and Georgia Tech just kind of on the steep decline.
No, I agree. Again, we disagree in terms of where Georgia Tech should be ranked. I know you're not too keen on Georgia Tech still being within the top 25. All of that stems from the Haynes King factor of it all. Mm-hmm. We'll get into more specifically how I feel about him in a later segment. A little teaser there for you guys. But again, you don't know the chaos that this guy brings. I was gonna touch on the 8 touchdown or the 8 overtime game that they had played last year. And again, it is really, really easy to look at it and say, well, again, Georgia Tech has quite frankly, one of the worst Power 4 defenses in the entire country. And Gunnar Stockton, again, has been able to reel himself in from the chaotic, both good and bad, from the chaotic mess that we had seen earlier in the season to a more stabilizing force at the quarterback position, to what he is now, which is fantastic. But again, you can't rule out the Haynes King factor of it all. It kind of touches on what you had even mentioned within the Michigan OSU game. You have no clue in terms of the havoc chaos factor of it all. And 2 quarterbacks that kind of carry that the most is a Diego Pavia, who we had just talked about, and Haynes King. Yep. And again, everywhere this guy goes, there seems to be chaos, mainly in a good way for Georgia Tech. But you can have some bad there. We had seen the bad there last week. He didn't look super spectacular. But again, he seems to really get up for these kind of games. Again, I do think you're right. I think Georgia destroys them probably. But again, you don't know the chaos factor that Haynes King can bring to these games.
Yeah, I'll say this. Anytime I feel like I got a read on Georgia, a good read on Georgia, it just goes the opposite way. Like anytime I feel yes. like anytime I feel like the relatively confidence in them, I think they go in the opposite direction. Anytime I'm kind of sleeping on them, they find a way. Like so
absolutely.
We'll see how they figure this one out, and then finally the last preview of the show before we get into some notable games, talk about some conference titles. Oregon travels to Washington, 7-point favorites. Oregon is coming off the emotional and big win in Eugene against USC, and now they're right back onto the road against another, pretty comparable and good opponent in Washington, who I believe is 8-3. So again, they're a quality opponent. Back-to-back weeks to end your season for Oregon, so this keeps them fresh. We still don't know the status on DeCorian Moore. There's still no guarantee that he's going to be out there, but do you need DeCorian Moore when you have Kenyon Sadiq? He is truly a freak show. I thought this past week, like, I'll reveal this to you now. Oregon is one of my national championship future teams because I put them in before the USC game because A, I thought they were going to win, and B, if they win, the odds are obviously going to be better because it kind of puts them in. But what they're doing in the run game, like the creative run scheme that they're doing with Whittington and Davison and even the freshman Hill that they mix in, I like to see a team going into the playoff with a healthy dose of running the football and a healthy dose of backs. Their tackles are just gutted right now. So, again, they took one from Nevada, Isaiah World. So, again, if he comes back, that will add more. Like, if this Oregon team, I'm kind of looking at Oregon broader than, like, this game specifically, and I shouldn't, but just this is a dangerous team if they can get healthy. Like, if Ohio State and Indiana win, which they're favored, and Oregon gets to bypass the Big Ten title game, you could convince me this is the Ohio State of last year. This is the team that just get healthy, get right, get your mental right, man. And you're going to host a game, and you're going to get to just have this opportunity to blast through the competition. So I'm excited for the Oregon realm of this. But again, Washington, I don't know their injury report. I know they're missing a lot of guys against UCLA. I don't know if that was to prep this game, but Damon Williams is still very fun. They're still, like, Jonah Coleman kind of got outworked in the rushing department this past week. Denzel Boston missed last week. So, again, I don't know if they're, like, they hinge on those three guys being explosive and dynamic. Against Oregon, you can be. So, like, USC kind of showed that. So, we'll see together. I lean Oregon. Obviously, I do just lean the talent. But landing against Washington is never a guarantee.
No, absolutely. The reason I thought this game was worth mentioning is because, again, we had touched on it. You can't say they're a lock at this point, but
yes,
they're in pretty good position, even if they lose this game, to still be in the playoffs at this point. But I'm just interested to see how this team in particular, can bounce. I don't want to say bounce back, but continue to play on a streak of these close emotional games. Again, the one game that they got in was the IU game, coming off of a very emotional, very tight game against Penn State, and then you go and you play IU, and that is when they lose. And I'm interested to see if Dante Moore has learned from that experience from the Penn State game going to the IU game, from now going from USC to Washington. And that's more than anything, again, despite the outcome of whatever this game is, that is really what I think is worth the watch in this game, is how we can handle these emotional games heading into a game of somewhat importance. Because, again, there would be a lot that has to go wrong, but they could theoretically lose this game and be out. So this is still a game of importance for them. And again, I'm just interested to see how this Oregon team handles, again, a game of importance after coming off of a very important game the week prior. So that's why I brought this up and thought it was worth mentioning. And we'll see. They've had some close games against these middle of the pack Big Ten teams, against Iowa, against USC, and then obviously they lost against IU. So these teams have given them a little bit of a fit early on in the season. So I'm wondering if Washington can do that to Oregon this week.
Yep. Just the final little statistic is Oregon is first in rush EPA, and Washington is 35th. Excuse me, EPA per rush, different from rush EPA total. So again, speaks to what I was saying about Oregon's rush offense. Washington's rush defense, obviously gettable. And just again, if they make sure this doesn't lean on Dante Moore, they're going to be fine. Moore is still a player I really like for, like, the NFL draft. I still think he does come out just because of the flashes. But as a college quarterback to win it all, there are still hesitancies with me. And some of that stems on who he's throwing to down the field, but we'll figure it out together in this one. But we move on to the other notables action. Obviously, it is a loaded weekend. Everybody's pretty much playing, right? Outside of Akron, I learned. Did you see anything about Akron? So Akron, you have 2 byes. This is just an Akron tidbit. They're off this week. So technically, the final week of the season is a bye week for them. And they had one other bye, and their bye was on a Saturday, and then they played Maction on Tuesday. So their bye was like 9 days instead of 2 weeks.
Mini bye. Yeah.
And so, it's qualified as an actual bye. And they finished 5-7. So just a little Maction update for you. Yeah. But most teams are playing this weekend, and there are many notable games. I'm gonna start with you, Ben. Which ones do you have your eye on?
Yeah, I mean, just scrolling through it, a game that we had mentioned. I'm IU versus Purdue, because how could I not? Playing for the old Oaken Bucket, we had saw what IU did to Purdue, given Purdue is a better team this year. We saw that IU just dismantled Purdue last year. They didn't cross the 50-yard line at all, not a single time in that game. I don't think they'll be that dominant just because that is a hard feat to live up to. But again, that is always a fun rivalry to watch. The Egg Bowl, obviously, Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. You had mentioned it, the ranked matchup in U of A versus ASU. Mind you, all three of those games I just mentioned are happening on Friday. So it really is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Those are kind of the three big ones that stick out to me as I'm scrolling through the list. Oklahoma versus LSU. That just goes back to a game that has some playoff implications. If LSU somehow manages to win that game, Oklahoma will probably be on the outside looking in, hoping and praying that other stuff rolls in their favor later on in the night. You have Battle of LA and UCLA versus USC. And those are really the big ones that stand out to me.
Nice. I have some prepared as well, kind of just looking through and finding some rivalries that I've always enjoyed. Iowa, Nebraska.
For a team you root for.
On Black Friday, obviously that one just they're both 7-4. I had expectations on that game going into the season. It did not
Yes,
end up coming true, and Raiola is not playing. But again, think back to this game last year. Caleb Johnson had like an 80-yard screen pass that tied the game. This was just a muddy, ugly battle. And then you get into, you mentioned Arizona and Arizona State. I think that's a fun one. And then you get to Saturday, Miami and Pitt. Like, Miami is still holding on to some playoff hopes here, and Pitt is still holding on to some ACC title hopes here. So both teams are really fighting for something, and it's just the joke that Miami never wins this game. Miami, like, to make the playoff, Miami never wins this game. This road ACC foe, they can't seem to win it with Cristobal, Manny Diaz, whoever. And then keep moving on. Missouri, Arkansas, at 2:30 time slot. Again, Arkansas, they are 2-9. They have a point differential of +3 this season. That's insane. They have not won an SEC game all season long. Missouri seems to be kind of trending in the wrong direction. Pregula just...
Ahmed Hardy.
Ahmed Hardy is in the Doak race. I don't know. He might win it. I don't know. The Jeremiah Love propaganda machine is really, really hitting hard right now.
Rolling.
Yeah, I think this is one Arkansas could get. I certainly believe that their pass offense could throw the ball against Mizzou. Think back to what Simpson did against Missouri, and then moving on to the Sun Belt. Yes, the Sun Belt. Troy. The Troy Trojans play Southern Miss in a game at 2:30 on ESPN Plus. The winner of that game plays JMU in the Sun Belt Conference Championship. So again, there's a playoff game going on, folks. There's a legitimate playoff game going on, and it's in the Fun Belt. And Southern Miss is an interesting team to note because Charles Huff, the head coach, is the head coach of last year's Sun Belt champion, the Marshall Thundering Herd. He did not have his contract re-upped, so he just brought his players with him to Southern Miss. And he has an opportunity to play for the Sun Belt title again with a different program. How many... I don't think that's ever happened in this sport. A guy to...
No.
If he were to win back-to-back Sun Belt or just conference titles for two different programs, that's stuff you do in the college football video game. So that one's fun. Florida State and Florida, I have to mention it. It's happening. Tommy touchdowns, one more ride. Hopefully not. Hopefully they win this game and we get one more ride with Tommy touchdowns and Gus Malzahn. Wonder where Lagway's going to play next year. Kind of scouting out that one. And then other than that, the 6:30 slate. Oh yeah, North Carolina travels.
Thank
to
you. I
Raleigh,
was waiting
and
for it.
it was the tease. Perfect tease. Bill Belichick cannot be bowl eligible. NC State is already bowl eligible. I don't care. Win the damn game. NC State has had a rocky season. Let's go out and get the victory, and hopefully we avoid the field the storming that like last year NC State planted the flag and just fights all around. That's just another little notable. Who's gonna fight each other this year? Excited to see. We're gonna figure it out together, folks. But there's gonna be fights. It's a great weekend.
Definitely Michigan versus OSU. There always is. And again, what I have to say again, you almost missed it. I was worried there. As an NC State fan, you have to enjoy your final game with CJ Bailey, right? Like you have to go into that game just knowing it's his final game. It was a fun year and a half, 2 years, with everything that happened with Grayson McCall, which we do not have to relive. But it's a fun year and a half, 2 years. I'm sure as a NC State fan to see some good quarterback play, but he's done there. He's done. So, but yeah, there's your honorable mentions. I'm sure you have something to say about that.
That was just such a sad, like, he's done, by the way, buddy. Don't worry. We got Will Wilson coming in. No, they'll make a switch somewhere. They'll find some G5 stopgap, player at quarterback. CJ Lagway would be hilarious. Don't talk about SMU's quarterback like that. Jennings is a senior, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's where he's going. That's where.
Yes.
But that is the notables section of Week 14 rivalry week. Again, just full circle. It's just such a great finish to the season. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful topper to the season. The final weekend, because I'll just classify it as weekend after calling it Saturday earlier. Just awesome stuff.
No. All right, moving on to the next segment. I wish you guys could see the behind the scenes. We're not going to do this. Moving on to what is the final segment, or part of a final segment. Heisman hysteria. Again, this weekend, and then obviously a little bit of next weekend, plays into the Heisman race at this point. I had asked Matt to tell me his top 5. I cheated a little bit because I only did 4. There should be 5. There should be 5. I will not mention the 5th one because of the week that it is. Because, again, I told you guys I try to be unbiased, but of all weeks, this is the week that I will be as biased as possible. No, he wouldn't be 5th. He might be 5th. He'd probably be 4th. I digress. I'm just not going to speak about him at all. You will, and I'll let you take it away, and I will not make any comments on that player. I will start out with my top 4. Again, I have 4. I'm really interested to see how it compares to you, and then there's one player after I do my 4 that I want to make note of. For me, we will start all the way down at number 4, and I say all the way down as if that's a bad thing. Diego Pavia. He has been so much fun to watch. Again, I think it is a 4-man race, but at this point, Diego Pavia is not in that 4-man race. Number 3 for me is Jeremiah Love. Number 2, shocker, man who shocked the world, J-Rod. He doesn't get. I am blown away by people still leaving him out of their top 5s. Like, it hurts my head considering there's one quarterback that is getting buzz who shouldn't. He is number 2 for me, and then obviously me, being an Indiana student, Indiana alumni, I'm pulling for Fernando Mendoza. I think he is the front runner. You don't know what next week brings. We'll see if next week changes that, assuming IU and OSU play. And then that fifth guy that I had teased, not the one you're thinking of, is Marcel Reeds. I don't understand why he's within these conversations. I hate it. I understand people are like, well, he had his Heisman moment against South Carolina.
He could be the 13-0 SEC title champion quarterback. That's it. That's it.
That's why. He continues to not do anything impressive. He is a beneficiary of the pieces that he has on offense. It quite literally is the just get it to KCC, get it to Mario Craver, Le'Veon Moss. Like, just don't do anything stupid, basically, is what it was. And like, that's the reason that like people want to talk like, oh, he had his Heisman moment against South Carolina. The reason that moment was even there is because he threw 2 interceptions going into half. What are we talking about? He manufactured his own Heisman moment because he played so bad. Marcel Reed should not be in this conversation. He has no place in New York. But again, really quickly, 4 through 1 is Pavia, Jeremiah Love, J-Rod, and Fernando Mendoza. But I'll let you do your top 5. Again, there's obviously a name that is sticking out that I will not talk about because of the week that it is.
Yep. I have Pavia just missing the cut at 5. I'll go 5 through 1, just as you did. I have Pavia just missing the cut at 5. I have Jeremiah Love at 4. I have J-Rod at 3, just because I'm gonna stick by what I've said since October. Just want to put it to perspective how good J-Rod has been. He's gonna lead the country in turnovers forced at 11 this season, and he's gonna have over 100 tackles. If he registers half a tackle for loss, he'll have 10 tackles for loss this season. Only 1 sack compared to 5 last year. I continue to compare it to the 2012 Manti Te'o season, and he has 4 more turnovers created. They have a similar amount of sacks, 1.5 for Te'o, 1 for Rodriguez, and 5.5 tackles for loss compared to 9.5 for Rodriguez, and the tackles are pretty much going to be identical if he plays most of the West Virginia game. And why Te'o got that hype is because of what he did the previous seasons. And Rodriguez is the same. Like, he had 127 tackles last season. He had 10.5 tackles for loss last season. He had 5 sacks last season and 4 turnovers forced last season. So again, last season, he was still a defensive force for a bad Texas Tech team. Now, he's doing even more remarkable things in the turnover category this year that it's just unforeseen. And so I want him in New York really, really bad. I don't believe he should win the award. I think there's a lot of, like, I know that's just bland and boring. It's like, I don't think he should win, but definitely get him in New York. But he's one of the top 4 most outstanding players, if that's what we're doing for the Heisman.
If there's any year for it, it would be this year. Again, I think Mendoza's the clear front runner at this point. But, like, he is leading the country in passing touchdowns, but it's nothing spectacular, especially considered the quarterbacks that have won it in past years. So if it was a year for a defensive player to win it, it would be J-Rod this year.
And then the final 2, I have Sayin at 2. I have Mendoza at 1. I think Mendoza is clearly the odds-on favorite. He's minus money anywhere you bet him right now. If Sayin wins the game against Michigan, his odds are going to drop drastically, because this is a new thing that people keep doing. Like, Gus did it with the Mendoza moment for Omar Cooper. They're trying to, like, create the Heisman moment in time. Like,
in the moment. Yeah.
In the moment. The Heisman moment is always, like, a retrospective thing. Like, oh, this is when he won the award. Like, this is the moment. This is the... Like, the Money Manziel, like, when he beat Bama, it wasn't, like, in the moment, like, oh, he's the Heisman now. It was a retrospective thing. It was an overarching, like, look back at the season. So there's a lot of that. But for saying, like, he hasn't been spectacular in the stats category. Also hasn't played anybody this month. Like, he had the Penn State game, played UCLA, Rutgers. Like, there just hasn't been an opportunity for the nation to watch Julian Sayin, I believe. And I think the odds as a bettor, like I think the odds are pretty decent because this comes down to whoever wins the Big Ten title game, whoever's the 13-0 quarterback, whoever's the 1 seed, I think wins the award. But if you were to tell me that we have a 30-30 game in the Big Ten title game and Mendoza's awesome and, he loses just on the skin of his teeth, I would not doubt the voters to just sprinkle in and say, actually, we're going to give it to Mendoza. We're going to give it to the IU quarterback because the story is just more remarkable than just giving it to the Ohio State quarterback again. And his stats will be better. So there is a justification of that as well. But interested to see. I wonder, do you think Mendoza plays the whole Purdue game?
No, I wouldn't imagine. I mean, he hasn't played a whole game all season. Well, he hasn't played most games.
He played most of that Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I want, like, I don't like most of the Cignetti petty stuff. I want to be petty. I kind of want him to really stat pad Mendoza in a game like this and be like, I'm getting my guy the Heisman. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yes, it would be awesome. Well, in quick thing too, I meant to mention it when we had talked about Oregon, Washington. I do think there is a funny conversation around. Oh, I forgot about the conference titles. That is 100% my fault.
We'll go quick.
We'll do that quick. And this will be the perfect segment that leads us right to it. Your perfect comment that leads us right to it. I do think it's funny that, like, at this point in the season, like, especially in the Big Ten, like, it of any year to not want to play in the Big Ten championship, this is the year for it. Like, it might be a good thing to just avoid that game because it doesn't matter. And, like, I wonder if you get to the point, I know it's something we had talked about 3 or 4 weeks now at this point, like, do you really even play your major starters in that game? The only reason to
this is going to get so popular, man. It's just going to get so popular.
Exactly. The only reason to do it is if you wanted, like, something like the Heisman in terms of that quarterback and Fernando Mendoza, and like, ooh, like, this could be a fun Heisman watch. But that would be the only benefit at that point of playing anyone of value in that game, because it just wouldn't make any sense. Why risk people, especially in a 12-team playoff situation, when you already have your spot locked up? But again, it's interesting. It might be of benefit for a team to not play in the Big Ten championship game this year. So, what are our scenarios for that?
I'm gonna say this: that everybody's going to play their starters in this game until something happens, like Jalen Smith. Like, everybody is going to play their starters until there's a moment that someone, like a real deal player, gets injured. So that's my thought. Again, the SEC is trying to change it into like a tournament style. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Where the 1s and the 2s, whoever makes the SEC title game, is getting a bye, getting the auto bid to the 12-team playoff, and then 6 faces 3. 4 faces 5, and those 2 winners of the weekend go on to the college football playoff. So I've seen that, and just double the games. You know, instead of having 1, we got 2, and those 4 teams probably would be viable for an SEC title berth in anyway. But yes, moving on to the conference title scenarios, going pretty quickly. Let me pull it up. So I have every single conference title implication. Let's start with the B1G, the Big Ten. IU, they win, and they're in. Or Ohio State wins, they're in. So they could even lose to Purdue, a game in which they're 30-point favorites, and still get in if Ohio State beats Michigan. Ohio State needs to win, or they get an IU loss and Oregon loss. So they need both of these. So basically, going into Saturday morning, if IU wins, 30-point favorite against Purdue, we're going to know if Ohio State is win and get into the conference championship or lose and they're out. So they are going to be win or go home in a game against Michigan, a game they have not won in 5 years. So I think that's pretty fun for the Big Ten title game to have that as a real implication. Oregon, they need to win. They need Ohio State to lose. That's simple. And then U of M, sadly, they are not win and get in. That was what I was hoping. I was hoping like Ohio State and U of M turned into like, the winner gets in. But for them, they need to win, and then obviously they need Oregon or IU to lose. Oregon is much more palatable. Then we move on to the SEC. The A&M Aggies, if they win, they will be the only 8-0 team in the conference. They would make what they win, or a Bama loss and Ole Miss loss. So they would need Bama to lose to Auburn, Ole Miss to lose to Mississippi State. They would know Mississippi State's fate by Friday night. So again, they will figure out. Bama, they have a ton of tiebreaker scenarios after, but I just put they pretty much need to win. If they win, they're in. That's pretty much it. They don't win any of the tiebreaker scenarios for the most part. SEC doesn't use head-to-head tiebreakers, so like Bama versus Georgia is not a head-to-head tiebreaker, which kind of blows. It turns into in-conference like strength of schedule, so record of the other opponents that they faced, and Georgia's is more strong this year. Georgia just needs one of the top two to lose. They don't play a conference game against Georgia Tech. They just need Bama or A&M to lose. They'll get in. And then Ole Miss will need a win. They kind of need the parlay to hit. They need to win. They need Texas to win, who's an underdog, and they need Auburn to win, who's an underdog. So they kind of got a parlay to hit. The Big 12, who would have thought the Big 12 would be the chalkiest conference championship of them all? Texas Tech is, I don't know exactly what they are, but they're at least a 17-point favorite, as is BYU. Both of those teams just need to win. If those teams win, they are in. They have other opportunities with, those crazy scenarios I'm talking about and tiebreakers. But if these teams just handle business in games that they are 3-score favorites against, they will match up again in the Big 12 title game. Arizona State and Utah both need to win. They need Texas Tech or BYU to lose Saturday. It's just, for those two teams to make it, something drastic would have to happen. But plausible. The ACC, this is the most up in the air, I'll say. They have 6 teams in play. UVA, Pitt, SMU, Georgia Tech, Duke, and Miami. UVA and SMU are both the win and get in teams. If UVA wins, they're in. SMU wins, they're in. Pitt, they need to win against Miami, who is one of the top 6 we mentioned, and they would need one of the top 2 to lose. Circling back, SMU is 14-point favorites against Cal, and UVA is 10-point favorites against Virginia Tech at home, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like that's not a large number against a non-eligible Virginia Tech team. But again, it's rivalry. And then we get into Miami, Duke, Georgia Tech, all long shots and predicate on these parlay type scenarios with the results. But doomsday, Ben. Doomsday can occur. If UVA and SMU lose, Miami beats Pitt, and Duke beats Wake, Georgia Tech is already out of conference games. They face Georgia. 6 teams in the ACC would be 6-2, and based on tiebreaker just records, that is how they would decide who gets into the conference championship game. So again, there is a doomsday plausibility with ACC, even if it is very, very long shotted. Yes. I'm excited to see if Doomsday even gets close. Then we get into the G5. Yes, I even did the G5. I
was gonna say.
Basically the American has 3 teams for 2 spots. UNT, Tulane, Navy. If any of those teams win, they need one of the other 2 to lose. So if right now, UNT and Tulane are major favorites, and Navy is a dog. If that happens, if that goes chalk, then Tulane and UNT would obviously host. That would be, it's that simple. If all 3 win, the tiebreaker is 7-1 is settled by conference record, and college football playoff rankings, folks. So the rankings on Tuesday has a chance to decide who plays in the American title game. Isn't that crazy? Just something I had to throw it in.
What I'm hearing is there is a chance for the midshipmen to still make it to the
Absolutely.
playoffs.
It's
That's all. Music to my ears.
it's so long shot, man. Because
I
UNT
know,
gets
I know.
UNT gets to face Temple, their 20-point favorites. Tulane gets to play Charlotte, who's like in contention for worst FBS program. Thank
Yeah.
God UMass exists, and they're favored by 31 points on Saturday. So the midshipmen, the longest of shots, we had our shot. They lost. They lost to North Texas, but Navy could still win 10 games. I bet that before the season. So still have that in the slip. And
As
then
you
the
should.
CUSA, Jack State win, Kennesaw State win, Western Kentucky faces Jack State. So if they were to win and Kennesaw State lose, they get in. Just wanted to make mention of it. Like Jack State and Kennesaw State joined the FBS in the last 5 years. Kennesaw State joined last season, I believe, or the year before. So those teams playing for actual championship aspirations, it's pretty cool, conference championship aspirations. The MAC, this is where it's fun. The MAC actually has a team going right now. Western Michigan is a team that controls their own destiny in the MAC. I want to find it live on show. Western Kentucky won tonight against Eastern Michigan.
Yes, they did.
They are in, folks. So
Ah!
live on the show, get to break news. Western Michigan's in the MAC title game. All right. And the final 3 teams who would compete for the last spot, Miami, Ohio, Central Michigan, and Toledo, they'll figure out with tiebreakers if, one of them wins and the other 2 lose, that would get in, obviously. Then we get into the Mountain West. San Diego State faces New Mexico. And basically, what is the result of each game? So if San Diego State wins, they're in.
Easy.
New Mexico wins, they would also need a Boise loss to get into the Mountain West Championship. It's just win, New Mexico loss. And then UNLV is the team that wins. If they win and the other 2 lose, they would get in, talking Boise and New Mexico, because New Mexico faces San Diego State. And then if all 3 lose, I believe it's Boise. So Boise would get in if everybody loses.
Correct.
And then the Sun Belt, I mentioned it. JMU's already clinched their division. They're hosting the title game. Southern Miss and Troy, a playoff game, 2:30. Southern Miss against decides the division. We still have divisions in one part of college football, the Fun Belt. Again, it's a de facto playoff game. Just a game that I love the Southern Miss storyline. I love it. I can't get enough
really
of
is
that.
absurd.
And they were even I think they're on a 2-game skid. There was a shot they could have really pedal to the metal and this wouldn't have mattered, but it does. So that's what makes this fun. I know I just threw so much at everybody. But those are the title implications. I had to do all of it because I need to know what to focus on. I need to know what to find. I now can go right to my notes app and know. Oh my God, Ole Miss lost. I need to look at that. Does that affect? So yeah.
Yes, because we are gracious hosts. Let's try to filibuster, in the hopes that this third one is tooting around.
Well, I have a segment
somewhere
we could do.
Okay, well, yes. Again, you guys can't see the behind the scenes for us, but if you guys would, Ryan is in here, but he's not currently at his desk, so we'll give him a second to filibuster to give him a chance to sadly speak his piece on the game. But let's filibuster for Menderso with your segment.
So some award finalists were revealed this week. Some major awards. I believe it was the Maxwell Award, which is the Player of the Year, the Bolitnikoff, the Outstanding Receiver Award, the Bednarik, the Defensive Player of the Year Award, and the Thorpe Award, which is the Best Defensive Back of the Year. The Maxwell is the 2 quarterbacks we mentioned, Mendoza, Sayin, and then Jeremiah Love, also thrown in there. The Bolitnikoff is Mekhi Lemon, Jeremiah Smith, and Skylar Bell out of UConn. G5 represent, just like last year with Nick Nash.
Yes.
Bednarik, safety, Caleb Downs out of Ohio State, Cassius Howell, and Jacob Rodriguez. J-Rod, let's go.
J-Rod, that's a lock. If any, that and
Yeah.
That and the Doak feel like the two.
And then
Doak, man, a little bit, but yeah.
the
one's-
Thorpe, dude, the Doak is so up for grabs. Like
The
just
Doak.
saying.
I
up for grabs. Like Love is
Meta
so winning it. I'm telling you. I'm ultimate pessimist. 16-1. I'm ultimate pessimist. And then we get a defensive back, Leonard Moore, Caleb Downs, Mansour Delane. All right. I hope Delane wins it. He has been phenomenal. But those are the awards. Hopefully the filibustering worked.
It did work. He's here. He's on his phone. He's not looking into the camera. I'm speaking to him, but he can't. There he is. Okay, I don't know. Come say your piece before we log off here. Clown.
Big week. It's a big week. As you can see, my little display of minions that I've set up over here. All right. I've got the iconic Brutus the Buckeye stuffed Buckeye from shows previous. If you know, you know. If not, you should know. Watch more shows. In between the two Brutus the Buckeyes, I've got a little preview of what's to come on the channel. All right.
I'm so glad that we can't see it because your name it's blocked. Your name blocks it. So that's
What are you talking about?
fantastic. Your little name blocks it. We can see your two Brutuses, but we can't really see what's in the middle of the two because
you can't.
Your
Well,
name.
here, I'll bring it closer to the camera. It's
okay.
Here. Like
It's
let me do that.
There it is. That's
if
what
I
we're
add
looking
in
for.
if I add in something.
It's my robot guy from Fox Sports in Bears fashion with a ripped up Devontae Smith card in the middle of it.
Rip up that
So,
card. That's
it's a
actually
commitment to
Dude,
the
I had a
bit. Come
Saints
on,
one
man.
of those. I lost it so long ago.
It's so cool. But big week for the kid. We've had conversations previous that made Ben very upset, and because he's a very passionate and awesome dude. But regardless, I'm gonna walk out of the weekend with 2 wins. I think that's what's gonna happen. Vibes are all-time high here.
Heat play this
I
weekend?
think. Did you say the Heat play this weekend? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, 2 wins. Bears are gonna win. Buckeyes are gonna win. It's gonna be great. All-time vibes high. It's gonna be great. However,
the boys are back together this weekend too, watching college football on
Yes.
Saturday. It'll be a
yes.
beauty.
It's absolutely crazy. I don't know if you guys talked about it too much, but in terms of the rivalry altogether for the game, right? It's lost a little bit of. I know you guys talked about. I was listening to it when I was doing my prep, but the overall feeling around the game has unfortunately gone down when it comes to casuals like me. So this is important to me because I have a couple lunatics for best friends that cover this stuff on a week-to-week basis for you guys. And who am I to not make an appearance and rub it in that my team is the greatest in the nation? So just saying, national champions and number 1 for how many weeks in a row? And we're going to prove it this weekend against the team up north.
Through for 62 yards. Best team in the country. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I'm excited. Had to show up, make the uncommon appearance on. Actually, I think this is my first time appearing on College Corner since it was part of the show. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. Happy to be here for all of 5 minutes. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thank you. Well, and he will maybe possibly be back when the official bracket gets released like we did last year. We're still figuring it out. But this was a perfect thing. Any closing stuff before I close this out here, boys?
Screw the team up north. It's PG, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Enjoy the effing weekend. Just enjoy it. We have football up the ass, man. I think that the NFL. I think the Thursday the Thanksgiving games are awesome. Navy and Memphis play in college football, turning it back, and then Friday and Saturday, just so many teams are playing, so many games matter, and everybody hates each other. Someone's gonna fight each other. Like I'll never forget last year. Like my father, who does not consume college football at all, had to message me like an hour after the game and be like, the hell happened at Ohio State? Like, what the hell happened? Like,
Yeah.
and I had to explain to him that Michigan, as 3-score underdogs, beat them outright and then planted the flag, and then Jack Sawyer ran over to throw the flag away, and Ryan Day had the inevitable line of, what happened? Had no idea just what happened. And
Can I just say
it's
one thing about
tremendous
that as
weekend.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole fight from last year was like cool up until the reports came out that like kids were pepper sprayed. All right, not a proud moment for a Columbus fan. All right, just saying, let's leave the pepper spray at home. If we're gonna duke it out, I'm gonna be that guy and be like, let the kids duke it out. You know, to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I don't broadcast games anymore. I can almost promote this behavior. Listen, I'm totally cool with this. Who isn't? People are going to fight. You guys have said it multiple times during this episode of College Corner. Very, very exciting times. It's hate week, as they say it. So, very exciting. But yeah, let's not pepper spray kids. No more of that. That's not fun.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, yeah. Again, OSU will get their revenge, and they'll do the whole flag planting. It'll be interesting. They'll try to flag plant.
No, be biased fan, Ben.
I digress. This is kind of like the last full show you guys will get. College Corner is not done. I can't reiterate that enough. There'll still be more episodes. For those who are watching live and watch the pro show that we do, we will not be doing a live stream tomorrow because of the holidays. But we still will be putting out a pick'em, which we will actually be recording in like 5 minutes. So there will still be content to put out in terms of the pro show and whatnot. But again, we continue to thank everyone that is along the ride for us, whether you guys are watching live, you guys are watching back. It is just a nice little community of football that we have built here. And then, as always, thank you to our sponsors, Regional Radio Sports, Spotify for podcasters, and Uppercuts for grooming. And we will see you guys next week.